to Kennett, Zenith Cablevision. Thank you for watching. It's time for talk. Each evening at this time, Monday through Friday, Rosemary interviews local personalities and others who bring items of interest to this community. Time for Talk is a community betterment service. Tonight, Rosemary takes us by means of portable camera out of our studios and maybe into your neighborhood. And now, it's time for Talk.
The Kennett Chamber of Commerce. You're looking at a wall with pictures of men who have been very civic-minded, who have been instrumental in the growth of this whole area. And tonight we're going to talk about the gentleman who was president in 1957. You're going to talk about, we're going to meet Bill Walsh. And Bill, this is not a picture from 57, is it? That's on the wall, because I remember you had red hair, dark red hair, don't I?
No, it really isn't. Katrina at the post office said, you know, you haven't changed much since you were president, and I didn't ever tell her any different.
She doesn't. She thinks your hair has always been white.
Yeah, sure.
I remember when we both had different. We're dipping out of the same bottle.
Right.
These days. All right, Bill. In 1957, tell me, are you a Kennett native, or what brought you to this area?
No, in 1946, my parents and I bought a grocery store here, Ward's Food Store, and we have spent many times. There's many changes through the years with our grocery store, and we ended up with building our first store on First Street.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this was really quite a jump for us, and we had the first parking lot that was with a grocery store before everybody parked along the streets and whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
you went into the grocery business when?
In 1946, and then 10 years later, we built our first supermarket.
Okay.
But I must say, we had the first supermarket when we came to town because it was a self-service grocery store.
So you were up there with
already did it.
Yes, you were. All right. Now I also remember you as a Kiwanian.
Oh yes, I was a Kiwanian. As a matter of fact, we built the store in '55, and in '56 they asked me to be president of the Kiwanis Club.
And in '57 you were.
In '57 I was elected president of the chamber, and so I had an overlap. I was president of both organizations at one time.
Well,
quite busy.
Do you remember handling it, or?
Oh well, you just.
Who did you work with? Who helped? Who was active in the chamber then? Who was what do you call it? The chief executive officer.
Well, I guess Randall Harden was the secretary, and he's the one that really helped me organize and everything.
And where was the office? This building is we're in now. Where was the office?
It was in the Cotton Bowl Hotel, the office on the corner on the first floor.
Yes,
and
okay.
And that's where we had all of our meetings, was in the Cotton Bowl Hotel, and it was very convenient.
Could you get all of the businessmen to be members? Was the chamber much smaller?
Oh yes, well we had most all businessmen, and we had a very good organization. It wasn't as large as it is now, of course. Of course, Kennett wasn't that large, and it grew along with the city. And but I was well pleased with everybody that performed, and we had lots of objectives. And as a matter of fact, this program of work was put out by us. And in it, of course, I've got a letter there that I've written to everybody. And at that time, this was distributed to all of the chamber members.
Okay, you mean there was enough activity going on that you had 5 or 6 pages?
Oh my goodness, yes. If you can see the book with all the objectives we had in it, and of course we had a membership drive each year too. That went along.
Promote a 4-lane project on 84. Hey, that's been ongoing for years and years and years, for 40 years.
As I reread that, I says, my gosh, they finally did it.
They finally got it done. Okay, now. You were telling me a story when we went on about the membership drive. You took over
from J.D.
From J.D.
Yeah, and this membership drive happened while we were in the office at the hotel, And J.D. was a chairman of one team, and I was chairman of the other team. And we...
Well, J.D. didn't mention this to me.
Oh, he didn't? No, that's because he lost. And the loser had to push the winner in a wheelbarrow from the hotel up to the square. And so
J.D. was pushing you in a wheelbarrow.
And before I tell you the end result, I'll tell you this. J.D. one day, in one of our meetings, he says, I'm going to give my, the one that sold has the most membership so far, a new watch. And I says, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I says, well, I'm going to give the man that sells mine, $25 worth of groceries. And later, J.D. told me the watch wasn't worth a darn. He'd been given to him by somebody in the organization. And
but it cost you $25.
It cost me $25 to go to. I think T.A. Brown won the groceries.
And did J.D. actually push you in a wheelbarrow to the square?
Well, J.D. started out. You know, J.D.'s always been kind of small. And
I know this story there.
We got past up to the railroad track, and he was huffing and puffing, and I let him go another block, and I said, J.D., I'll just push you up there. And so he got in the wheelbarrow, and I finished up and pushing him up there.
Oh, what a shame we didn't have a camera in those days. That would have been great to have gotten all this wheelbarrow pushing.
I do have a picture of that, and I'm sorry I didn't bring it along. But,
Bill, I can't believe you left a picture of winning all this membership drive. Was there great incentive for the businessmen to be in the chamber in those years?
Well, you know, any group can do more than one person, an individual by himself. And of course, so we had meetings and we had objectives which we put out. And as a matter of fact, one of our objectives in the Merchants Committee was to form a Christmas parade.
Okay, that's in here. Probably.
Yeah, it's in there.
Okay.
And then we had other things. A while ago, we said the highways was was looking to the future.
Yes. I hope it's not going to be that far in the future that we get this 412 corridor.
Oh,
going.
Really?
Now, you mentioned the fall festival. You mentioned the parades, and I remember you running around. You and Jack McDaniel trying to get this thing organized.
Well, actually, the Fall Festival was organized before, when it eventually became the Delta Fair. And it was organized while I was president. I sat in on the organizational meeting. And I'm sorry I can't recall who was elected first chairman of the board, but it could be looked up. Then they decided, with the parades came before the fall festival. Jack and I, it was an objective of our Merchants Committee that we have a Christmas parade, and to try to stimulate business. So at our Merchants Committee meeting, why I brought it up. I said, you know, we've mentioned having a Christmas parade, and I think it'd be a fantastic idea to try to promote business. And everybody agreed, yes, we'll vote on it, yes, and everybody says we'll do it. I said, all right, who's going to be chairman of it and get the parade together? And there was complete silence.
I understand that.
And so I looked next to me, and there was my friend Jack McDaniel. I punched him, and I said, you take it, and I'll help you. And would you believe that for 40 years we've been helping each other with parades?
Okay, and you're still doing it.
Still doing it.
We were not around for this year's, but you all were still. And hopefully, if we're here next year, we're going to get you all running around again. Has it changed?
Well, listen, we had some dandy parades. The Christmas parade finally blew away, and that's literally. It got so that the wind would blow the floats away before they'd float away. And so we had to quit that. But during that time, the Delta Fair came into existence, and so we became chairman of the Delta Fair parades.
You lucky one.
Oh, yeah, we already had that experience. So I never will forget when one of the Christmas parades when it was Kiwanis. Russ will probably remember this, but. Jack and I were chairman of the parade, and Lawrence Bradley was organizing the float to build a float for the Kiwanis Club, and he says, Bill and Jack, why don't you take over the float, the building? And I said, we've got our hands full otherwise. You get somebody else to do that. And he did. And I'm telling you, it was the most pitiful float I ever saw right here.
Well, what was it?
They borrowed the statues or the little, whatever, the mannequins off of the display at the courthouse, and they stuck them on a trailer. Russ probably remembers that. It was so funny when it came through. I said, "Oh my Lord!" But it was fun.
Was that the last time you let Lawrence Bradley be chairman of
Lawrence didn't build another one.
Okay. In your booklet, this Plan for Action for 57, I noticed that you had, there's always a committee for industry to come into this. You worked on that, I'm sure, in your years, and it's probably still going.
Yes, that's true. Emerson was our large catch, I would say. And they turned us down the first time, and but
went to Paragould.
Went to Paragould, and so we didn't give up. We formed committees and approached it again, and they finally said they would come, which it was really great for our industrial development in Kennett and our employment, of course.
Are you still active in the chamber?
Well, I'm not active, other than to attend some membership meetings, but...
Well, and you speak up, and you maybe don't volunteer for anything,
no.
But you're still doing the parades.
Oh, yes, we're still doing that, and that's plenty. That's my help for the chamber and for the fair board.
All right, Bill, you mentioned the grocery business brought you to Kennett, but you're not still in the grocery business, are you? Are you still in business?
No, I'm more or less. I sold out in 1980. And now, and I have quite a bit of real estate. I still own the buildings that I developed in business, and I have a few little rental property. And I have an office, incidentally, out on First Street, and I keep quite busy. Joyce wonders how come I have to spend so many hours out there, but we do. And I might say this, that my friend Jim Collier just moved in the office across the hall from me, so we have quite a time reminiscing.
I see. All right. All right, Bill, look into your crystal ball and tell us about the future of Kennett. What do you see for this area?
I see Kennett growing, and I was so happy to see that the city got together with the City Water and Blight and purchased the Kroger building for an educational building. That's going to be a fantastic growth movement for Kennett. We need it. And because it'll bring other businesses to town, it'll bring other industry to town, we hope. And I'm so happy for them, and I'm sorry that I didn't have anything to do with it, but I'll sure vote for bonds if I need it.
All right. You've been talking with Bill Walsh. He was president of the Chamber of Commerce in 1957, and still active in the chamber. Still with a voice in the things that will help Kennett go. And Bill, we certainly thank you for coming out and talking with us.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure visiting with you.
You have been watching Time for Talk. Time for Talk is a community betterment service designed to cooperate with our local community betterment program. Each evening, Monday through Friday at this time, Rosemary interviews local personalities and others who bring items of interest to this community. If you are aware of items of interest, please let us know for possible airing on this program. Time for Talk is brought to you through the cooperation of Kennett Cablevision Incorporated and is produced through the facilities of the Slicer Street Church.